So some of the things that were bad, I just wasn't prepared for how bad they would be. Hi, this is me editing, and I'm clipping together some of the videos I have from right before I left the Peace Corps to while I was in it. And I'll just be interjecting in between clips to like kind of make it all make sense. And yeah, so the first, I guess, two videos, two short clips, are literally just like little clips I had taken while I was packing / right before about to leave. And then we go on to when I'm at staging, so like when I'm about to leave to the Peace Corps, and then we have videos or recordings of me from while I was actually in the Dominican Republic and just like kind of journaling out loud, if you will. Yeah, I'm moving. That's like for 2 years. It's 2 years worth of stuff. Anyway, that's where I'm at right now. Okay, I can do this. Like, I don't have to be saying goodbye forever. There is a chance I could come back. So I guess that's where I'm at right now. And it's interesting looking back at some of my thoughts and how I was feeling. So I've made it to my hotel safely. I just said goodbye to my nearest and dearest, and I'm about to get ready for the first staging event, or I guess introductions. To give a very basic outline, and that will come, I'll be speaking more on that a little later in the video, is that this had been a like 2-year process of waiting, so there was so much anticipation, and there was nobody that wanted this more than me. It was like I felt like my entire life was beginning, and that I had waited every moment of my life for that moment to begin, I guess, if that makes sense. So yeah, it's absolutely insane looking back. I'm living in the Dominican Republic, so I'm here to be a Peace Corps volunteer, and I'm currently in my community-based training, so not in my permanent community, but I've been where I am for about a month in a community maybe an hour from the capital in Monte Plata, and I'm living with a lovely family, and yeah, I'm just like, we're just basically in class all the time, in trainings very often. Today I'm actually wearing makeup because we did a little like day camp thing for some of the kids. So, and it was the first time we've done this, so it was a good experience. Anyway, so yeah, that's why I'm here. I mean, joining the Peace Corps was a hugely long process. If you look at like one of my older videos, like a little montage of my life or whatever, which was for a project for school. And in it, I say that I had applied for the Peace Corps and I knew my direction at that point. That was 2 years ago, though, and I literally just got here a month ago, a little over a month ago. So it was a long process. It was like this 2 year waiting, hoping, dreaming for so long, and it wasn't until actually I was invited April 8th of this year. So the clips of me, it's interesting, like that period of time, I obviously came in with a lot of hope and anticipation, and things were not how I anticipated them, but I was so full of glee and hope still, and just completely like enthralled with everything, even the hard stuff, which really got me through it, honestly. And I just had this mindset the entire time that well, maybe I'm not crazy about where we're doing training, but I'm going to be in the perfect site. And like, that was my mindset. Like, I was certain. I was like, this is destiny. I'm going to be put into this site, and I'm going to build all these connections, and I'm going to be happy where I am. And there was a lot of conversations between me and my project manager about what I wanted, and I thought that it would be helpful if I was extremely forward about what I was looking for, and what I really felt that I needed was to be by the beach. That was like the biggest thing, and that's how I always anticipated my service, is that I was going to live near the beach, and that's what was going to get me through it, even if I was like in the middle of nowhere or not around a lot of people, even if I felt isolated. If I had the beach, that I would be okay. But I couldn't be completely out in the middle of nowhere, I guess. I'm in youth and development, so you don't really know exactly what you're going to be doing until you figure out what your community wants you to do. So I'll be figuring that out once I get to where I'm going. And I'm actually still waiting on finding out even where I'll be going. I have about just over a week until they tell us, about a week and a half. So I'm obviously very excited to find out where they'll be placing me. As of now, all I know is that it's a smaller community than the one I'm currently in, and near the beach. And also near a cluster of other volunteers, which is super reassuring to know. And I think that when I described it to other people, I was told, oh, yeah, you're probably going to be in Salmona, near the beach. And I was like so certain of that. So yeah, it was very interesting to like have all these ideas and expectations. And that could have been to my detriment, though, in the long run. So I got assigned to my community, and the way they have it set up is that you're assigned and then you go there for like a day or two. I don't remember, maybe it was 2 or 3 days, and then you come back, finish training, and then move there for real. So I guess the idea is to go there to like meet your community, to have an idea as to where you're going, and of course to make sure it's okay. So I was assigned to a tiny, tiny little community. I won't say what it was called, but it was near Sabana de la Mar. It was not in Samana. And so then I went there and I spent a few days there, and I felt like it wasn't what I was anticipating at all. Big lesson with B Score: have absolutely no expectations ever. That was my biggest flaw. But yeah, so it wasn't what I was anticipating. But I was still like, okay, no, this is it. This is my destiny. I'm where I'm supposed to be, yada yada. I did have some concerns though about the school situation, and there were a few red flags about like based on what we were trying to do and what the community wanted of me, it didn't feel right. So I had spoken to my project manager. She said, no, it's going to be fine. And she put me, and I went to that community, and I will show a video of me there and kind of what ended up being the situation with that. Let's, like in simplest terms, it's been pretty incredible, but at the same time extremely hard. And it's hard in ways that you wouldn't imagine, at least in my experience. So in my case, I remember when I got into the Peace Corps, well, I had been waiting for 2 years to get into the Peace Corps, and during that time I thought about it a lot because I was constantly researching, like this was like the dream. And one thing that came up a lot was health. So I'm in my mind, I'm like super healthy. I've always been healthy. I like really watch how I take care of myself. But so to me, I was like, that's like the least of my concerns. I was like, I'm gonna put my body through this and it's gonna be fine. Lo and behold, nothing like crazy or anything has happened. But I would say I haven't felt like my very best. It's not even stomach stuff. Like the first week or so, you do deal with that sort of stuff. At least in my case, some people dealt with it longer, but you get used to the food and everything very, very quickly. Um, I ran into some other issues, so that's been a difficulty for me, is not feeling my healthiest. But like, like washing my clothes and hanging them outside and not having running water all the time or losing electricity a lot, like all that stuff, you get used to it. It's fine. I mean, like, it can be difficult if you're bored and you don't have access to internet. You really got to learn to read, which for me, like, I always wanted to be a reader, but I was never much a reader. Like, I've read books, but I was never someone that was like, oh, like, looking forward to reading a book. But now I look forward to reading. So, I mean, that's like a super positive thing. Furthermore, like, what else has it been like? Well, training, I can do a full video about training. Training was like its own thing. And I've technically only been in my site for a month, so I'm in my community diagnostic right now. So this time is also unique. So I can only speak to that. But yeah, it's been interesting. You end up realizing that like all the time you spend in the US, like doing things like going out, um, things around electronics or things around the internet. Like you don't have the same sort of internet here to just do whatever you want. Like I had my Roku in the US and I could put on my show on my TV, and now I don't really have that luxury all the time. Sometimes I can stream stuff on Netflix, but sometimes I can't, and it's all on my computer or phone, and it's just not the most reliable. Um Also like working the school, man, it's something. I mean, you're always an outsider. Like it's hard to come into a country and be try to immerse yourself in a community when you're not entirely fluent in the language, even though, God, if I haven't tried, and when you look very obviously different. Okay, so what is the best part of the Peace Corps? In my opinion, the best part of the Peace Corps, or at least like being a part of this program, is that like it's a wonderful opportunity to live abroad and to be like very well taken care of. Like, yes, you don't make much money in the Peace Corps. You don't make any money that you could save. It's like all a stipend. However, like if anything were to happen, you are like taken care of. Like our safety and security guy, he is the best, like creme de la creme. Um, Furthermore, like you have health care here in the DR, or here if you're in Peace Corps. Basically, you have your Peace Corps doctors, and you can just go to them for anything. Like if something's wrong, you go to them, you talk to them, and so you have really good safety and security. Like you can't live somewhere unless it's been scoped out by Peace Corps, and yeah, and you can like call on Peace Corps for anything really, at least the safety and security. And you have great medical. Anything you need, she got it. Um, yeah, that's like the best part of being in Peace Corps. Also, the training, fantastic. People, Peace Corps staff, pretty fantastic. So yeah, and also you have this community of people. Like it's this, it's such a security blanket. That's all I'll say. um, Best parts of the DR. Best parts of the DR. Definitely like the fruit is fantastic. Me being a vegan, love the fruit. Best papaya, best bananas. The food is actually pretty decent. The problem is that Dominicans don't like spice. So like everything's pretty salty. But honestly, like I have really enjoyed a lot of Dominican dishes. Like they do this like berenjena, like this eggplant dish. So good. Um, Also, well, tostones are not specifically Dominican, but a lot of people eat them. Delicious. And Dominicans eat basically every type of V verde. So V verde could be like yuca, banana, anything like that. Like that is like such a staple. To be honest, I haven't experienced like the most beautiful parts. Like the DR is beautiful. There is a huge issue with trash, which is hard. So like you could see like a totally beautiful place, and then there's like a bunch of trash on it or near it. So that's definitely takes away. Of course, that's like not the fault of the people of the Dominican Republic at all. That's really more about the fact that all this crap is being shipped in, and they don't have an infrastructure to deal with it. Um, and yeah, so also the weather in the DR. I like the warmth. Worst parts of the Peace Corps. Worst parts of the Peace Corps is that it can be a little bit restricting. Also, like some of the rules with living with the host family is hard. Furthermore, host families obviously they're not all going to be perfect. The other worst parts. There's really nothing else bad about Peace Corps. I mean, obviously, like the about the experience that you have in Peace Corps. Obviously, there's problems with Peace Corps as an organization. That's another conversation, though. The worst parts of the DR. Worst parts. The trash. Yeah. But the worst part of all is men hissing, looking, staring. It like really gets to me. It is I'm trying to not let it. So Dominicans have like, and it's normal in the culture. It's not a bad thing. I mean, this is how like people communicate. But where they hiss at each other, like it's not it like tss, tss, or what is it, tss, tss, something like that. Anyway, you hear it, and a lot of times it's friendly. Like it's meant to be like, oh hey, like come talk to me. People will just. Tss. Um, from a U.S. background, it seems very like strange, but at least to me. But it could be like that's it frightens me, or at least it really did frighten me at first or for a while because where we trained a lot of tigres, they're a huge issue. So like the men that say things to women, ugh, the worst. Well, a tigre is actually a whole other thing, but they tend to do that. And so they can be totally friendly, but then it can also like I've experienced it. Like, they're going to say something nasty, like the nasty type of men. So I would just associate it with that. You ignore it, you walk away. And then what is worse is when they just stare at you, and it's men. Just stare at you, like dead stare. It's like the worst. I remember walking through like near Parque Enriquillo in the capital with my training host family, and it was definitely a part that only generally just Dominicans would go to this shopping area we're at. It was like a bunch of shops, to just buy whatever you need, at like reasonable price type shops too. And then there was like street vendors as well. And we're walking through in between the street vendors and the shops on the sidewalk, and people were just saying all sorts of stuff. I hear all the time, I love you, like all the time. Like men will just like say that, oh baby, I love you. And so that's literally not the worst thing at all, but just to like be constantly having things said to you just for existing, just for walking, it is hard. Yeah, being in the Dominican Republic can be super hard as a woman, just as a woman. But you see that in a lot of countries, so it's not like super unique to the DR. And then things I wish I knew before coming. I wish I knew how little autonomy we were going to have during training. That was super hard. During training, it was like just really intense. You could only leave the training site, so we could only leave Mamatingo if either Peace Corps took us or if our host family took us. And so, I think it was 3 or 4 times I had the opportunity to go to the city with my host family, where they were like going shopping in Santo Domingo, and I got super lucky that I had those chances, because those days when we would go to Santo Domingo were just so great. It would give me the opportunity because they were feeding me exclusively. They were feeding me, and then I was getting like Peace Corps gave us snacks during training and coffee and stuff. But I was getting most of my food from my host family, so I wasn't able to choose. Actually, she was a great cook, but going to the city gave me the opportunity to like buy the things that like I was used to in the States, and it like made me feel at home. So yeah, those days were always super special. And it was always like an all-day event too, because it was like if she was going to drive all the way to Santo Domingo, she was going to go to all the stores. So it was just like I never knew where we were going. I remember one time we went, and it was like not very grocery central at all, and we were just in a bunch of stores. But it was just good to be out and about. But yeah, I guess I wish I knew how little there would be to do. And I guess I wish I knew more about Dominican culture as well. I came in like a little naive, very naive, because I had studied in Costa Rica. So studying abroad is like nothing like the Peace Corps, completely different. So I had studied in Costa Rica, lived with a host family there. So I was like, oh, this is a piece of cake. Very different experience. When you have a host family and you're studying abroad, you're studying abroad, you're like there to like have fun. When you have a host family and you're in Peace Corps, you're in Peace Corps. You're not there to, I mean, you're gonna have fun in Peace Corps, but it's much more difficult. Everywhere's unique, and so some of the things that were bad, I just wasn't prepared for how bad they would be. I don't want to say bad. I wasn't prepared for how hard it would be to be catcalled to this level. Ugh. Today is the day.